All right, guys, welcome back to the Boomerang Podcast. I'm Drew.
And I'm Matt.
And today we're going to talk about what's happening with Kevin McCarthy getting ousted through Matt Gaetz and the House of Representatives. Also going to touch on Jamal Bowman pulling the fire alarm, no pun intended. And, wrap it up with kind of 2024, what, our thoughts are with the election coming down the pipeline and maybe a few other things.
Trump fraud case.
In the Trump fraud case. And what we're really waiting on here is Grant Stinchfield to wrap up one of his radio shows and try to squeeze us in between, his podcast and his time. So when he's able to jump on, we'll let you know. But Matt, just wanted to start off real quick. You were actually with Grant over the weekend.
Yep.
At
the town hall.
The town hall. Yeah. Why don't you just give us a feel on how the town hall was? What it was like meeting Grant again?
First off, I was exhausted because we had just gotten back from Arkansas.
Right.
And then one of us had to go to L.A., so I flew out to North Hollywood, went to the Hilton, did the town hall over there. It was great. I mean, the event every year is great. We've been doing them for years now with the company.
If you guys haven't been to one, please come. We host every year around
year.
This time?
It's usually the September, October timeframe. And, Mark Levin was there, Dennis Prager, Charlie Kirk, Officer Tatum. Usually Larry Elder's there. Larry's a very funny guy. I love Larry. Obviously, Grant was there, Jennifer Horn, who we interviewed last week. It was a great event. Everybody had a great time. We gave out some VIP passes to just random people. We just got we had literally a box of them. So I was just walking up to people here you go. Here's better seats, da-da-da-da-da, right? And we really had a great time. I actually ran into Grant. I was walking into the hotel, and I see him perched down. He's sitting down all sweaty. I'm like, that's Grant. He had just been running up the hill, the big hill that goes up into Universal City.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, I just ran up this thing. I'm like, good for you, man.
God bless.
Yeah, God bless you. But it was a lot of fun, and we had a great time. Made a lot of great people, and had some fun.
Awesome. Well, hey, right before we jump into it, I just got word from our producer Justin that we have Grant actually on the line and available to speak. So I think we should just jump right into it.
He is the host of Real America's Voice, which airs at 7 p.m. And he's also the host of Stinchfield. And we're very glad to bring on Grant Stinchfield. Welcome to the show, Grant.
It's great to be here. The show actually is Stinchfield on Real America's Voice, just to be clear.
Got it.
Trying to find the network, but it's Real America's Voice. And of course, AM 870 out in L.A., where you guys are such great sponsors of mine for all of these things, and it's greatly appreciated. Love you guys.
Yeah, great seeing you Sunday, by the way.
Absolutely. Our town hall event out in California was great.
Great time. Yeah, I was trying to gift you and Mark Levin signed photos of Dennis Prager.
Yeah, exactly.
Good times. Well, hey, just jumping into it, kind of the hot topic of the day, obviously, is McCarthy being ousted as Speaker of the House. Matt Gaetz versus McCarthy going on. And, just want to kind of get maybe your take on it. I know it's kind of split between, Republicans, if it's a good thing, bad thing, who would even replace them. So, I just wanted to know kind of what your thoughts were.
Yeah, I think if you look at the people that support this idea, you got people like Steve Bannon, you got people like Dr. Sebastian Gorka, you got people like myself that think this is great. Now, am I thrilled that we had to use Democrats to get here? No. But in the end, McCarthy didn't live up to any of the promises. I would challenge anyone to give me what McCarthy has done, what accomplishments he's made in the 9 months that he's had the gavel. He went back on nearly every promise that he made. And the most important, I think, is being single-issue spending bills. Went back on all of that. So he was very cocky when it came to this thing. And Matt Gaetz ended up winning. I've got to wonder how McCarthy's feeling now about being so cocky. He should have just lived up to the promises that he made conservatives. It was a total simple game. Literally, if you would have just brought these issues to the floor, the 12 appropriations bills, give people 72 hours to read the bill. Just last week, he broke the 72-hour rule.
Right.
Very simple game. He never would have been voted out, but instead now he was. I'm hopeful Jim Jordan will win. Jim Jordan has said he's in the race, and before he had told me numerous times that he didn't want the speaker's gavel, but apparently now he does. He's in the race from what I'm reading, so that's good news.
Right. I agree with you as well. I like Jim Jordan for that position. I mean, outside of Trump getting it for a short period of time before presidency, although I think that's kind of more of a pipe dream there, but. I think a big thing with, McCarthy as well is just blocking the subpoenas and not moving very far with, the Trump investigations and indictments and all that good stuff. So I can see why a lot of people were mad. Single issue, the voting I think was huge. Then, he didn't do any of those. So I agree. I guess the big thing is who does replace him. It seems like they're going to need help from some Democrats, which means there may be concessions given out.
I don't know why they would need help from Democrats. I don't think there should need help from Democrats. I think Republicans should get on board with who they want, and that's got to be imperative. There's no need to have Republicans help them, and I can't see any Republicans voting for a Republican. I don't think any deals will be made that way. That would be disastrous. That would be the opposite of what we wanted to happen. Everything I'm seeing right now, we're going to get a more conservative speaker than Kevin McCarthy, who I think was probably a decent guy. He just didn't know how to fight. He called himself yesterday a happy conservative. I don't need a happy conservative. I need a conservative that is willing to go in there to fight. And you mentioned President Trump. Steve Bannon's calling this 100 days of President Trump. That would be great. President Trump will never take this job. He was the most powerful man on earth as president of the United States. He's not going to go backwards. But what I do want is for Republicans in Congress to offer him up and take a vote on it. I want every Republican on record to see how they vote on President Trump. This is the most important thing we can do. Vote on President Trump for speaker, expose the rhinos for who they are. President Trump can turn down the job after that.
And speaking of President Trump, tell us your thoughts on this fraud case in New York with this Letitia James, this corrupt judge who was seen laughing. What are your thoughts there?
Well, you got this guy who's literally all smiles, which is just despicable. I mean, you can tell that he's weaponized his court against President Trump. There's never been a case like this brought against anybody else. It's allegedly over, quote, fraud, and that he falsified his financial documents to gain favor with loans and interest rates. Now, I know many of you have heard, some of you were in business. Even when I take loans for trucks for my trucking company, the auditor for the bank, in many respects, an appraiser comes out, even for my trucks. They will come out and appraise the trucks. They don't just take you at your word for what something is worth. President Trump had a disclaimer in his financial documents as well. But you better believe there's all kinds of appraisers, auditors looking through these documents, going out and physically visiting these properties before loans are given. Not one bank didn't get paid. Every bank was paid. All the interest rates were paid. So there's no victims. Many of these banks are continuing to do business with President Trump. So here you have a crime with no victims and an attorney general who vowed to bring a case against President Trump. And then yesterday I see that Chuck Schumer is taking a picture with the chief law clerk for the judge as if they're boyfriend and girlfriend or something. I mean, this stuff is so out of control that the chief law clerk is now cozying up with Chuck Schumer. And here's President Trump now issued a gag order against him that he can't talk about the judge or the law clerk.
Yeah, suppresses freedom of speech. And it's confusing to me because 80% of the case is thrown out because of the statute of limitations. You would think these people would know this in the first place. I mean, why would they bring a case where they know that 80% of it would have been thrown out just based on that alone?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to argue all kinds of legal mumbo jumbo and get through hurdles to say why the statute of limits don't apply. And so this appellate court actually threw out 80% of the case. Judge Engeron's guy Smiley over there, he wasn't going to acknowledge the appellate court throwing out 80. President Trump had to sue the judge in this current case to get them to acknowledge that 80% of the cases beyond the statute of limitations. But this goes to show you how Democrats operate. They do not respect the rule of law. They do not respect the authority of an appellate court. They just want to do whatever they want to do.
Right.
There's no sense of law and order when it comes to this party. They are absolute radicals, and we see it playing out firsthand.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
100%. And, it is a two-tier system, right? One for us, one for them. And which just leads me into thinking of Jamaal Bowman, right, pulling the fire alarm. And, I just think, okay, well, then he should get, penalized same as the J6ers or something of that, extreme. Any thoughts on just kind of that crazy outburst and what happened and just, him even coming out afterwards, trying to say like, oh, you guys are being Nazis about this and, being very defensive on kind of his actions.
Good old Nazis.
So Jamaal Bowman was a middle school principal.
Right. He knows a fire alarm.
He knows what fire alarms are. There's not a middle school principal in America that doesn't know how fire alarms work. So that excuse is completely thrown out the window, not to mention that he's caught on camera pulling the fire alarm, and he knows what he's doing. This idea that he tried to obstruct an official proceeding. I mean, this is open and shut. He pulled a fire alarm that literally had to have the Cannon office building evacuated while they're getting a vote. I guess because they weren't going to include Ukraine money. I would assume that's why he did that. But this is the definition of obstructing an official proceeding. 320 J6 defendants, including President Trump, were charged with obstruction of an official proceeding. No one got even close to obstructing it as much as Jamal Bowman did. So I would also offer this up if you really want to be honest about this. This obstruction of an official proceeding is an unconstitutional law. It basically says you can't interfere or try to change the mind of officials during a meeting. Well, change the mind of, there are officials. What is lobbying? I mean, this is exactly what lobbying is to try to change the mind of an elected leader, try to influence them. That's the word they use, is influence. Well, that's what, when we address our grievances to our elected leaders, that's what we're trying to do, is influence them. So I don't even understand how that statute holds water, but if you're going to charge J6ers with it, well, then you better charge Jamal Bowman with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, certainly has to be equal justice under the law.
But it won't happen. I mean, I'd be really shocked. I mean, I just don't think it'll happen.
No, it's not going to happen. I can tell you right now, it's not going to happen. Not a chance.
Well, great. We really appreciate you taking the time today, Grant.
Actually, I got one more question
Yeah, go
for you,
ahead.
Grant. You know, just in regards to the 2024 elections, you know, I'd like to think that we're going to have them and, you know, they're going to proceed. But, you know, I'm just curious on your thoughts.
Are the 2024 elections not going to proceed? I didn't know. I didn't know we were not going to proceed with the elections.
You know, I guess you have a lot of people saying that there's not going to be a 2024 elections for whatever
there were a lot of
reasons.
people saying President Trump was going to be back in office, and they kept giving me other dates. Those are the same people probably saying there's not going to be a 2024 election.
Okay, so just stoking a little bit of fear, confusion, you know, something to talk about.
Do you really
clicks?
Do you really think Ronna McDaniel's going to let him on the ticket for the RNC?
They may try to do everything they can to stop him, but I think he is a freight train that is going to be unstoppable. There is no way that Ronna McDaniel is going to stop him from being on the ticket.
Right.
None.
Plus,
No way, shape, or form. Even the leftist states, secretaries of state who've been forced to try to keep him off the ballot, they just lost that case in a Supreme Court case. There's no way they're keeping President Trump off the ballot. There's nothing in the Constitution that says even a convicted felon who is in prison can't be president of the United States. So there's no way that's happening. I promise you the 2024 elections will take place. I promise you.
And then last one on my end, just because you're in California, or, you know, you guys do your show in California. I know you're in Texas, but Gavin Newsome appointing a black lesbian, you know, from Maryland, right? What are just kind of your thoughts? I mean, that's kind of crazy. But pencil neck kind of, you know, I think he was thinking he might get that Senate seat, but yeah.
You can't draw up a more radical offer for this Senate seat. I think that he had this woman in mind all along, and he was placating to people saying, hey, I'm going to appoint a black woman. Now he's got a black lesbian woman who runs basically a pro-abortion radical organization. He had her in mind all along, and now he's saying, you know what? She's not just a placeholder. She can run. We don't mind. That's part of the deal. She can run too. So Gavin Newsom had this play all along. And of course, the other folks are just steaming mad about it. But, you know, we'll see. We knew we were going to get a radical senator from California no matter what. So, you know, in many respects, I'm not sure it even makes a difference.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just thought, you know, she might be from California, but
yeah, right, exactly.
You know, she's not even registered to vote there yet, but interesting. Cool.
Yeah, amazing.
That's everything I want to touch on.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you all. I really, really do. Thank you for your patriotism and your fight.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Grant. Anything you want to tell people where they can find you?
Stinchfield 1776 on social media. GrantStinchfield.com. GrantStinchfield.com. You get all the links to everywhere you can find me. And a big thanks to Midas Gold Group, of course, and you guys. And that's it.
Thank you for taking the time, Grant.
All right, guys. Thank you, fellas.
See you soon.
Cheers. Cool. Thanks, buddy.
Awesome, guys. Thank you. It was great to see you.
Yes, you too. Made it short and sweet. I watched your show this morning.
Yep.
Right on, doing it solo.
Yeah, it's cool. Every now and then, that's fun to do.
Yeah,
right on.
So
cool, buddy. We'll let you go take a lunch break.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Cheers.
All right, bye.
Really great having Grant on the show. Brings a lot of energy. Guy knows his stuff. Even if sometimes I am playing devil's advocate on some of the questions, you know, he's just like, nope.
I thought he was kind of on the timeline. I'm like, I don't want to hold him up, you know, between shows. But no, Grant is an awesome guy. He's actually he's a guy's guy. You know, you talk to him and he's phenomenal. But he was actually one of the first people to come out to call BS on the Ukraine war.
Yeah.
He was like literally one of the first people in media to say this is going to be a mess. So I give people a lot of credit when they're 2 years later, they're right about everything.
And I would just say anybody who lives in Southern California, 870 AM, 590 AM, they answer, listen to Grant and Jen in the mornings. They put out a lot of alpha, a lot of great information, and usually they're right about most things. So it's, if you're not in Southern California, you can download their podcast as well. Highly recommend it. It's a good way to start your morning off and maybe end your morning with our show.
Yeah, I don't know if we film in mornings, but yeah, definitely watch our show.
Right on. Well, I appreciate you guys' time. Thanks for watching the Boomerang Podcast. Me and Matt are always blessed to have you guys watch us. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends. We're here for you and would love to keep providing great information.
Take care, guys.